Hello and welcome back to Let's Code Physics. It is getting near the end of the spring semester, so we will be wrapping up Season 4 soon, but I wanted to do something a little fun at the end of this season, something that's only marginally physics related. I have really been enjoying over the last year playing some Pathfinder with some friends of mine. Pathfinder is a tabletop role-playing game system. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of options to it, and there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of stories you can tell, a lot of situations you can place your players in. As a game master, though, I often find myself just sort of needing NPCs, non-player characters, sometimes on the fly, sometimes just customized for the campaign setting that we're running. And I know there are lots of NPC builders out there online, but I don't really feel me. Like, they either just spit out NPCs that you can look up on the PFSRD, or they cost money, or there was my favorite one that did do what I wanted it to do, and it no longer works. So what I'm doing today is I'm showing the first steps of developing my own NPC generator. Down here you see the game view, so this is what the user would see when they're using this thing. It's not terribly aesthetically interesting right now. Right now I just want to get down the logic because the graphics can be spruced up later. Over here you see all of the items that are in place, all of the objects, and basically everything we're working with today is going to be in the canvas. So you have the menu that selects what type of NPC you want. Do you want them to be a basic NPC or a heroic NPC? Heroic just gets a little bit of a boost to their ability scores. Then you select the priority of those ability scores. Are you looking for a melee fighter or a ranged fighter or a divine spellcaster or an arcane spellcaster, etc.? There's also an option for you to custom design your priorities. So the custom menu is currently deactivated. So that becomes activated whenever the custom priority is selected. Then of course there's there's a list of races. I almost said a race of lists. That would be a boring thing to watch. There's a list of races here. This currently just has the core races. So I'll be expanding this as we go along. We'll take a look at what that entails when we get into the code. Then of course there's the button that actually activates the thing. When that thing clicks, when you click on this thing, it activates this routine called make that we'll be taking a look at for the most of the video today. I have another button called Human Improvement. I need to change created for the reader to select which skill they want boost a human or a half-human's ability score. There's some other scenarios in which you need to select an ability score to boost, so I need to change the name of that. But the user isn't going to see the name of this thing. That's just for the programmer's sanity's sake. So we talked about custom priority, and then we have the rank selection. So currently I have all of the I have all of the basic NPC classes. So eventually we'll add in the PC classes, so that you can have somebody who's an aristocrat / fighter, or a warrior / druid, or something like that. But for right now, we're just sticking with the standard NPC classes. And here you're just selecting the number of levels that you want the NPC to take in each of those classes. I currently just have them going up to 10 because I got tired of copying and pasting, but obviously in the context of the game this can go up to 20. I don't think NPCs have a level cap lower than 20. I could be wrong about that though. I imagine I'll get a lot of comments on this video of things I'm doing incorrectly, or as I like to think of it, things I could do better. I'm very glad to get those comments, because what I ultimately want to do with this NPC generator is build a larger code that can generate random encounters. So where you could tell the code, I want a challenge rating 5 encounter, and I want it to have 3 NPCs and 1 monster or something, and then it just spits out a random encounter for you. So this could be used, during overland travel if you want to generate random encounters, or if you just want to run your entire campaign off of random encounters and kind of string the story along between those random encounters. This is another way to do that. Or if you and a buddy just want to sit down and play some Pathfinder and you don't want to have to do any prep for it, you can just generate one random encounter after another. So that's the ultimate goal. For right now, though, we're sticking with generating a single NPC. So when I run this here in the Unity developer, so as with most of my game development videos, I'm using the Unity game development system. It's been working really well for me so far. So if you are a newcomer to LetsCodePhysics, because you saw that it was about Pathfinder or RPGs, welcome. This is Unity, and we're going to be digging into some C# in a little bit. But basically what you do here is you select the options that you want. Do you want the PC to have basic stats or heroic stats? Let's go with heroic stats. You select what type of PC you want them to be. Let's go with a ranged person. And let's go with I haven't been doing half orcs very much. Let's put in a half orc for the race. Bonus of getting to select an ability score to boost. And you know what? Let's make things a little interesting. Let's give this half orc some extra intelligence. Now, if I change my mind and I wanted to change it to a race that doesn't get that ability boost, when I click on gnome here, watch what happens. Oh, well, that's embarrassing. Oh, that's right. I don't have this thing going away anymore because now this thing also controls your level up ability. My bad. So just ignore that last little part where I said watch what happens because nothing happened. So let's say it's an especially intelligent half-orc who is skilled at ranged type abilities. And let's say that this half-orc has been trained as a warrior. So let's say that this half-orc has 2 levels in warrior, but he's also got this intelligence bonus. So let's say he's also studied a little bit. So when he's not waging war, he is also studying. I'm sorry, that's stereotypical of me to assume that a half-orc is waging war. Maybe he's a half-orc scholar who got pulled into battle or had to defend his university or his place of learning at a time of great need. And that's why I like these random generators, is that you click on go here and it prints out a stat block, but then you get to, in your head, make up the story behind this NPC, which is the cool part to me. So when you click on go, the output currently goes over here to the console, which if you compile this code, is not going to be visible to the user. So what I need to do is I need to have this scene disappear. I need to have this scene of buttons go away. I need to have it replaced by a text box that has all of this information. I'm not going to bore you with all the details of that. I'm going to do that off camera. What I want to focus on today is all of the logic that has to go into this thing. So basically it prints out all the information you would need for this creature's stat block. It gives you the classes, it gives you the challenge rating, that's how difficult it is to defeat this NPC, and then it gives you the amount of experience points you would get for defeating this NPC. Next up are its ability scores, the standard 6 ability scores: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, and it calculates the modifiers for you. Experienced Pathfinder players know how to turn these ability scores into the modifiers just by looking at them, but it's nice to save yourself that little bit of mental energy. It prints the hit points, the various armor class values for this half-orc, and then it gives the saving throw bonuses and the base attack bonus. It also is nice for you in that it goes ahead and calculates the melee attack bonus and the ranged attack bonus, and then its combat maneuver bonus and combat maneuver defense. So these are sort of the basic stats that you need. You notice it doesn't yet print any abilities or any feats or any equipment. I haven't yet implemented that. That will be a future video when we talk about adding all of that stuff But this is just sort of the basic, if you need an NPC right now, the scenario that I saw described on another NPC generator was, the players decide that they need to punch the town guard, and you don't have a town guard built. This lets you just build a town guard, and then they're able to punch them because they have an AC and they have an HP, and that's all you need in order for the town guard to be punched. And then, of course, you need an attack bonus for him to fight back. So let's take a look under the hood at the code that generates all this information. So when you click on that Go button, it runs this routine called make. So this is sort of the main subroutine for this program, and this is the thing that basically does all of the stat creation for you. The first thing it does is to read in all of these selections from the drop-down menu. So that's what this loop is for. Basically, it's looking for every object that's in, let's see, where do we call this thing? I think this is attached to the canvas, is it? Yeah, we've got the NPC Gen script attached to the canvas. So you notice that all of these menus are indented underneath the canvas object. So these are what are called child objects of the canvas. And so when it says for each child in this transform, it's looking at each of those menus. And so for each object, it's checking for what that child object is. It's looking for the type menu, it's looking for the priority menu, the race menu, the improvement menu, etc., etc. It's looking for the number of ranks to choose. And basically, it's assigning to each of those it's using those to determine which type of NPC you have, and which priority you have, and which race you've selected, and which how many number of ranks you have in each of those. So it's setting aristocrat of all of those values that the user has selected. The next thing that happens is it generates the ability score. So that's the first thing you have to do when you are creating a character, be it a player character or a non-player character, is you need their ability scores. And that comes, in this case, by determining what the base abilities are. So that's based on the basic type or the heroic type. It then assigns those scores based on the priority that you've given it, and then modifies those with some racial ability modifiers. Modifier is not the right word for that. Adjustments, I think, is the right. Take a look at these routines. Let's see. That's going to be down in line 250, according to my off-screen notes. So here we get into selecting the base abilities, and this is just saying if the NPC is basic, then you use these numbers. They're pretty basic numbers. None of them stand out terribly well. You basically get 2 that give you a +1 bonus. You get 2 that give you no bonus, and you get 2 that give you a -1 penalty. So it's pretty well rounded. The heroic NPC gets a little bit of a bump to all but the lowest one. So they get a couple that give you a +2 bonus, 2 that give you a +1 bonus, 1 that gives you no bonus, and 1 that gives you a -1 penalty. So the heroic just has a few higher strengths than the basic NPC. Basically, it stores these numbers in a list called scores. So this scores is a list that keeps track of the ability scores that you are going to give the NPC. You can also have a custom. Basically what it does, back up at the top, I kind of scrolled past this earlier. Where is the custom priority? Here we go. Is it adds the scores that you've selected into the, oh no, excuse me, that's for the class selection, never mind, we'll come back to that in a second. Sorry, got ahead of myself. That's right, you don't get to choose additional scores. You have to go with basic or heroic. Sorry, got ahead of myself. I'm recording this 2 days after daylight savings time, and it is still messing with my brain. Then we come down to score assignment. So this is where, based on the priority that you select, melee, range, skill, aristocrat, etc., it assigns the priorities. We have to give it a value to start with, so they've all got priority 6, which is lowest priority, and there's an error below that will tell us whether that's a problem. So basically, if you've selected the melee fighter, then strength gets the first priority, con gets the second priority, dex gets the third priority, and so on and so on. And basically what makes these priorities different is just the different numbers that it assigns to the 6 ability scores. Charisma comes in last for melee and ranged fighters, but it comes in third for divine and arcane fighters. I guess they're not necessarily fighters, for divine and arcane NPCs. And for the skilled NPC, intelligence comes in at number 1, because this is the person that you're trying to up all the skill ranks for. So higher intelligence gets you more skills, which we don't have skills implemented yet, but we will. And then, of course, you can select a custom order using that custom menu. The menu, I guess I should have demonstrated this earlier, but the menu is set to appear and disappear based on whether you select custom in this range. So there's custom assign, and then boom, this menu appears, and you select what order you want these to be in. So let's say I want strength to be first, dex to be second, intelligence to be third, con to be fourth. I know that's a foolish thing to do. I have made that mistake before in player characters. Then it takes these as the order. But it will also perform a little check to make sure that you're being honest about this. So it checks for whether you've assigned the same priority twice. So let's say I do strength, and then strength, and then strength. It's going to check for whether these values are the same. So when I hit go, it's going to tell me, it should tell me it tells me illegal priority selection. I don't know why it went ahead and printed everything else, because I have this set to return. Oh, that returns from this routine. It doesn't return from the other one. Okay, so note to self, I need to update this, need to have this exit the program, or exit the main subroutine here. Yeah, so it returns, but it goes back to the main subroutine. I think I previously had that in the main subroutine, and so it was working earlier as I expected. So it's still printing an illegal dwarf here, but you notice you wouldn't want to play as this dwarf, because this dwarf has 0 strength, 0 dex, 0 intelligence, a -4 con, a 2 con, so a -4 constitution. That's not gonna last for very long. So yeah, I need to have it so that it doesn't print anything else except for illegal priority selection. So I'm glad I'm running through this with y'all this morning so that I know what I need to fix. So once those have been assigned, once those ranks have been assigned, then it assigns the actual scores. So remember, the scores we read in earlier to the score list get assigned to the ability scores here, and it just assigns them based on the priority they've been assigned. This -1 here is because C# starts counting at 0. It doesn't start counting at 1 like humans do. Although up here I've got priority equals I+1. So the easier way to fix that is to just change these to be 0 to 5 instead of 1 to 6. But I needed to have it be 1 to 6 for my own sanity there. I can fix those. I can adjust that to be more consistent later. But again, the user doesn't see any of this. This is just, taking a look under the hood. And then if your total level is greater than 4, every 4th level you get to increase an ability score by 1 point. Currently that's locked into whatever you select on this one menu. So obviously you could at level 4 increase strength, and then at level 8 increase con. But right now, it's, for simplicity's sake, it's just 1 ability score going up. For an NPC, I don't know that makes a whole lot of difference, although I'm sure there are stories out there of it making a huge difference in an encounter. Then we modify, or adjust, those, we adjust those abilities based on the race. So currently we've just got the core races. So dwarves, elves, all take +2 to 2 ability scores and a -2 to 1 ability score, and those are fixed. You generally don't get to adjust those. There are always some racial variants out there. But, you know, for simplicity, for a quick NPC generator, you don't want to have to be messing around with those. Halflings, because they are small-sized creatures, get modifiers to their AC, attacks, saving throws, and CMB and CMD, the combat maneuver values. So these mods just keep track of all those modifiers. And so if we were to add in other small creatures, like, say, a Gripply. Gripply is currently my favorite race. Then you know, we would have if race equals races.gripply, and then we would have the Gripply modifiers in here. And I think they get the same AC, attack, and combat maneuver bonuses because they're small. The saving throws are from halflings being lucky, I believe. I could be wrong about that. I don't think that's tied to their size. Then we come down to the humans, half-elves, and half-orcs. So anybody with human blood gets a +2 to any one selected ability score to represent their varied nature. And so this is just reading in from that menu and increasing accordingly. Let's see, the last thing we'll take a look at, because I think this video is going a little bit longer, we'll talk about class next time. The last thing we do is we update the modifiers. So these are the those numbers in parentheses. These are the bonuses you get based on the ability scores. So if I scroll down here to my update mods function, this basically just keeps track of the mod STR based on the ability score strength. And this is in keeping with the notation on a character sheet that you would see. So your strength is your ability score. That's a number typically between 8 and 16. And then STR is the modifier. So this is 0, ±1, ±2, etc. And the same thing for Dex, Con, Intelligence, Wisdom, Charisma. I have to call this INTL because INT it stands for integer. So we don't want C# to get those confused, meaning we want C# to interpret this as a number, not as an integer declaration. And then down here we just have the mod function. So each of these we're calling the mod function, and that's just the ability score minus 10 divided by 2 and then rounded down. So that's what each of these steps do. You work your way from the outside in. You take your ability score minus 10, divide that number by 2, and then this function rounds that down. It's called the floor function, meaning it takes that integer that you get and it just chops off the decimal place, basically. The next thing is talking about adding the classes, but I think we'll talk about that next time. So what we'll talk about next time is how the class stats work, and then we'll actually add in a new class to the list, because currently we just have the standard NPC classes. We'll take some time next video and add in probably the fighter class, I'm guessing, just because that's one of the most straightforward ones to add. So I'm pretty happy with this thing. I might be using it in my game coming up this Saturday, who knows. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and next time we will get started back with the classes. So have a great day. Bye-bye.